Good morning, dear friends, dear colleagues. And first of all, I would like to congratulate all of you of the first birthday named after Plekhanov. And it's very important because this scientific conference plenary session, everything is devoted to our favorite university, which is 160 years old. And today, from the very morning, from the very beginning, we are all came here in order to wake up and to give this impulse of new innovative session which is innovative digitalization as a new language of the new communication. We have our moderator, very smart person, Oleg Ushakov. And the name of this session is very special. So I'm starting this session, but then I will listen in and recording the ideas of smart people. Innovation of digitalization is the new language of international communication. So nowadays, our international communication is not at the good stage, and we communicate not with everybody, and we start to find new language of communication, and I just tell the main idea of this name. The USA communicates with Cuba, but there is embargo with them, and they communicate about winds, weather, storms. It means they do still communicate. We communicate with the USA in terms of space. It means we still continue our communication. So innovation, ideas, know-hows. So we still communicate. And of course, we would like to share and take the best practices for development and digitalization, crypto, digital assets, token, coins, DeFi economy. So if it's new communication, but all this exists, money is out of borders. So that's why today's our task is to build, or to try to build, to find these small bridges of communication. So let's say it will be bridge to communicate about weather, and then it's beginning, then continue to communicate with the world community, and despite of sanctions and politics. And today, here, top minds, digital people who understand everything about financial assets, about digital money. Here we have developers of digital finances. Metro. So Oleg, I give you floor. Dear colleagues, good morning. Thank you very much. And I'm very touched. And I would like that our discussion today, so that we discussed the topic, and we will have presentation later, but I would like to start with the question to Akulinkin Stanislav Sergeyevich. So it was very hot discussion about the law of mining. Could you please tell us why it's very important for Russian community? Why it's important for the market participants? Why this law of mining is important? Why it has so important meaning And there are so hot discussions around cryptocurrency, and central bank don't support this circulation in Russia, but we could use it abroad, and there is no norms. So what to do with this? So it's very interesting to learn, to know your opinion. Thank you, Oleg. Very good question. So let me tell a little bit about myself. I'm Stanislav Akulinkin. I am financial director of company MCD. It's the largest mining pool of Eastern Europe. And also I'm working at the financial university and candidate of economy. So, and to understand what mining is. So let's say the world electricity consumption. So the annual one today is average, let's say, of the average European country. So through our company, 2% of this capacity, we call it hash rate, and you can understand the scale of this activity. So, do you have presentation? Could you please connect me? So I can speak without presentation, but I think it's better with presentation. Could you please connect presentation? And so among the proponents of cryptology, crypto industry, former Lambi to the moon, these are very famous words. Have you heard about them? Former, it's fear of missed opportunity. So, missed opportunity, syndrome of missed opportunity, Lamborghini. It means where this technology go to. And we know that dark part of moon we hadn't seen unless the Sputnik was sent there. And then we discovered what was there. So, and to our imagination, the dark part is that new technology which all world will achieve very soon. And how fast it happens, it depends on a lot of factors. For example, internet covered as totally, but TV is not totally. And what was in the end, it's not clear. But nevertheless, this technology helps today to solve these problems for the economy. And this problem, so they are very obvious in conditions of digitalization and also with political factors. And when we discuss the application of these technologies in the modern world, first of all, we discuss trans-border payments, and technology of these payments goes to substitute the traditional bank transactions. And banks in their research say, so the technology of distribution which was built on this crypto DeFi, it will play very constructive role in the future. And today we have two main ways. So where we can conduct this type of transformation. So digital currency of the central banks, which is very fast developing in many countries, and cryptocurrency in digital way, which we already know about. So, and what about news? Oleg asked a question about regulation of cryptocurrency. Mining in our country is not forbidden. Legislation which regulates mining is in the consideration of the ministers and in the State Duma, and its discussion, hearings, and it will lead to a final law at the end. But today there is no restriction to the cryptocurrency buying and selling. So anyone can buy this currency, and what he will do with this currency, it depends on him. So you can change it, you can save it, and you can transmit it somewhere in blockchain in any world entity. And there is division between digital currency and digital financial assets. Anyone heard about law of digital assets? This law was done in 2020, and this law regulates the Russian way on the legislative way on blockchain. And this sphere of digital currency, it's not very well regulated at the moment. Stanislav, so for the audience, could we say base names like what mining is and digital currency? Yes, it's a very good question. Let me explain. Digital currency, what is it? This is stipulation, and it's very different of the traditional one. How? The digital currency doesn't have the united emitters. So it's distributed in the whole world, and minings, they are emitters of digital currency. Every citizen or not citizen can be emitters of digital currency. So, and he has to buy the equipment which calculates very fast. So operation which connected to Bitcoin 100 times faster than the fastest server. So, and amount of chips is about 5 nanometers. So this is the size of which is chips in our iPhones. It's very expensive chip. And the second, what issuer has to do, they have to pay for electricity power. So, and if you follow these two things, then you plug your socket into electricity and start mining. And the next day you have a wallet, and you can follow information that dollars comes to your account. So technological aspect, I don't think we have to do details. So, and it's out of our discussion. And I can tell later why do we need to mine instead of buying Bitcoin. I think it's interesting. And I have a question. So, who heard cryptocurrency word? Have you heard it from your children, from your grandchildren, or have you heard it from internet? So, Stanislav said very interesting thing. Everyone can issue money. So in the morning, you wake up, don't have money, so you plug your socket into electricity, mine your mining, take mining and go. That's how it works. So the FA, it's not when you wait for your salary. The FA, this is when you need money, you wake up, you plug in the electricity, do your mining, get your money. And you think, oh, it's so difficult. But it's real, and it's not difficult. So, and just to continue our discussion, to go to the second speaker, it's very important to continue this dialogue. You think it's difficult? No, everyone who is here in this audience. So how many Wi-Fis do we have? Let's think. Everyone has his Wi-Fi. Everyone has Wi-Fi here in this audience, in this room. And everyone has name of his Wi-Fi. And this Wi-Fi connected to the global internet. The same is about digital currency, which is in your socket. You can give the name for your currency, currency Sasha, currency Masha, but conversion will be through the general internet. Good evening, Eurasian institution. So, and everyone says cryptocurrency mining, but it's not that easy because I'm an expert in this field, and it's not economically very effective if you just at the base level. But just to tell you the general ideas of this digital currency, why do we need this? So what the practical things of this? From the traditional money, it's very clear, it's very obvious. I'm telling you as the economist, as the financer. There are two principles of ideal world financial systems, two ideal principles. Two ideal principles of the financial system. Target. The first criteria is when there is no cash. And the second principle of the ideal financial system, when who has rights can accumulate all financial resources in one point during one day. And what's the target? Resource power. Resources. Once I spoke, had discussion, a person came from a very big country and he said there is very cool, very rich. Why? And the idea to control money, and 90 countries of the central banks, they issue their own national currency. Markers can be done. It's children, money, subsidiaries, federal budget, but total control. Just to avoid cash. I give you a floor. Like in Eurasian. So digital currency allows to control everything, all transactions, everything, where it was bought, where it was sold, so total control. And digital currency, it was interesting for the distributed currency, but not for the separate currency issuers. So like digital currency is united, single currency to be used by the whole world community.
Okay, let's wrap it up. I'd say the following. In 2014, I bought bitcoins for $11,000, and in 2017 I sold it. So I don't understand what you're talking about. When I sold it, I had made a profit. Well, if somebody is not interested in the enrichment, actually I doubt it. I think everybody is interested in it. Dear colleagues, there is a sort of confusion between the centralized, centrally regulated currency, including cryptocurrencies, and the private ones. So I'd like to give floor to Alexander Damnikov. Alexander, just give your opinion on the topic, and could you describe the digital future? And then we'd had to get back to the topic. How does did it help to or facilitate communication in the present environment? Good morning. As far as I can see, Stanislav has finished his presentation. Now we're discussing mining, and I'm going to continue the development of this idea. So mining is just one of the areas of development of the future world. Mining is sort of blood of cryptocurrency, and there are many options to earn money in a digital area. Now the cryptocurrency has emerged not because to make life easier for a state, but to make life easier for ordinary people. That's why the CB of many countries do not want to accept this, because it really threatens, calls into question the real currencies, because people wouldn't need real currencies. They would use cryptocurrency to pay for all kinds of services, and they don't need financial institutions. They don't need to transfer money through these financial institutions. So what is being discussed now is how to create such a system between Russia and Iran, for example. We can use our own currencies, but the exchange rate is not beneficial for the trade. And if we use cryptocurrencies, bitcoins, there would be no marks up. Prices would not rise for services and goods. That means that it's really profitable. Cryptocurrency, bitcoins will come to an end soon. And as it's finite, its exchange rate is growing. While ruble and dollar are not non-finite, they can be printed and issued all the time. It depends on the central bank and on the CB protection of their own currencies. And so the situation is absolutely different. And in cryptocurrencies, it's regulated by supply and demand. And many analysts believe that 23, 24, 25 will be very interesting for the bitcoins. It would be the epoch of the cryptocurrencies, because in Russia, many financial analysts say just get rid of cryptocurrencies because it's not topical. It's a sort of financial pyramid. While abroad, they invest into cryptocurrencies, and they are ready to. They want to get money on it. And actually, financial institutions of various countries are very actively trading in cryptocurrency, and they're going to make money on it, while we have a rather limited vision. Investors think short term. They need to get profits just during a year, so they don't want to invest for several years. Yesterday, I just came back from Novosibirsk. I took part in the investors forum of investors that invest into Sibir and the Urals. Nobody wants to invest into the real sector of economy because there are a lot of problems there. How to pay for the services, how to raise money to pay for the goods and services. So there are a lot of problems. And our banks just got switched off from the SWIFT system. And now banks are using other different of segments. We're not talking about, because there is no regulation in this area. It's not allowed, but it's not forbidden as well. And so many countries like Iran has been living under sanctions for more than 40 years. And actually, we now have two camps, good and evil ones, and we have to change our legislation that would improve the relations in this camp of light. So, but we are lagging behind in it. It's February and we still do not have new drafts. Lots of law are quite relevant, topical, and should be passed soon. But as I can see, the CB is winning. We can allow these things in Russia, but we have to use financial institutions abroad. It's actually that's kills the system. If we use these foreign systems, we would be put on knees again. We could be easily bent. So we have to solve these problems. We have to use our own resources. For example, Stanislav represents the mining pool in Russia, though its jurisdiction is not in Russia, because we cannot have this jurisdiction in Russia. It's not regulated by our legislation yet. Though many people understand the situation and support these new changes, we need these changes, and we hope that we will prevail. DeFi is a special topic. We have 5 operators of FIFA, Sberbank, Alpha Bank, and they would use their blockchains, their own blockchains. So I think it's all very interesting, and we are witnessing very interesting developments. So here today we need the government, the state will, and the will of the first person of the state, and we are witnessing a lot of interesting developments. So financial literacy is lagging behind. Sometimes people didn't know why did they need the figures on the back of the credit card. So just elementary things, and people didn't know them. Though the CB is proclaiming that the financial literacy is rising, now we can do it very quickly because the community is growing. You have a lot of investors that are looking at our side. And I'm sure that we are now witnessing a lot of interesting developments. People want to have money, and we will design, we will make digital money, and they will be regulated, they will be protected as normal money. It's a very interesting topic, and I can talk on hours for hours on end. And I'm sure that there are people in the state and the government that understand what is needed for the state and for the government, and if they pass adequate, proper legislation, then we will make a breakthrough. Because sometimes we feel that people in the government are just protecting the old segments of the bank. The old type banking need just clients who would take credits payments. The banks were also interested in payments, but we don't need so many banks to make payments inside the country. Sber is enough. Earlier, we had a different situation. We had a common single world. Now we have different camps. For example, there are countries that want to become a mecca of digital future, for example, Abkhazia. And we want to create such a zone in Abkhazia. If in Russia it's very difficult to pass this legislation, it's possible to create this zone in Abkhazia with development of the mining there, because it's easier to do in a small country. Of course, there will have difficulties, but it's possible to cope with them. Iran, also a very interesting proposition. Okay, we'll talk about Iran later. I'd like to add some pepper into the discussion. So the question is to Alexander, who represents the mining community. And I'll go back to Sergei's example. So you just switched on your computer and mined money in the morning. On the other hand, there is a lot depends on the state government will. So is there a certain contradiction if you just mine money in the morning and the state regulation? Why should we appeal to state regulation? Why do we need it? If you are able to do it on your own, to mine on your own, why do you need this state control? Maybe we'll just use energy supply for more beneficial purposes, for more useful things. So maybe we should produce some useful things. What do you think? It's just a question. Yes, I know, just I'm a little bit provocative, just to make our discussion more interesting. I'd like to say one more important thing. Stanislav is one of the leaders on the international and Russian market in terms of Bitcoin production. Alexander is a director of the key association in Russia on blockchains and cryptocurrency. One of the leaders of coin producers is also Alexander. Good morning, dear friends. Thank you that you've got together. Here I'm Alexander Fedor, and I'm PR director of equipment supply for mining. Just if you want to switch on your equipment and produce mining, that's we can help you. And they can do about 100 billion calculations per second. You can see that the capacity is enormous. As far as mining is concerned, can we use energy supply for this, energy for mining? Is it useful? Today in Russia, generating companies can produce about 218 gigabytes per hour. We spend about 116 megawatts. So you can see that we have free capacities. So how can we use it? How can we spend it? I think that mining is one of the most beneficial and useful means. So what can we offer to energy generation and to the state? First of all, to create an infrastructure and a center for data processing, and that means job creation, then the sale of additional energy for generating and grid companies, which means additional taxes. that we can do it even today. At the same time, mining, and Stanislav has mentioned it, has huge capacities all over the world. For example, a European country can consume the whole amount of energy mining as the whole world. If we got together of all mining users in Siberia and Urals will consume only 10% of the capacity. So we have a huge potential, and we can offer a lot to the state and the government if it were willing to meet us halfway. Another question to one of our participants of the panel discussion, to Valeria Lagushina. Can artificial intelligence, and Valeria is a great expert on it, can artificial intelligence speed up the development of the mining? Good morning. It's a very interesting question. Today, everybody has heard about artificial intelligence, and we have had such an event yesterday. A lot of people have come and they got involved in creating artificial intelligence. For example, an old lady came and she said, I have a business, I design horoscopes, and artificial intelligence works for me. Of course, it's a rather insolent case, but you know, Yandex specialist, market specialists use it. Can you use it for calculations and for mining? Yes, I can think that we have algorithms. There are their own rules to receive hash codes. There are their own rules, and if you can quickly mine bitcoins, it will quickly lose its value. So there are the following algorithms. You have to make more operations to make more efforts. If it becomes too difficult, then the calculations become easier. So it's just certain regulations. Yes, I'm sure that we can use artificial intelligence in mining. Also, I'd like to discuss the issues in line with the topic of our session, how digits can unite international community, and can artificial intelligence facilitate international communication? What's going on in this area? What are the developments? Artificial intelligence can unite people.
So the global idea or an interesting thing on around enemies. So artificial intelligence can be both. So, and what about a kind and interesting thing? For example, through many neural nets. Some say it can generate text from the zero, music, poems, images. So we always believe that these creative things is about human, but these neural channels, neural nets can do it, and it's already in trend. And yesterday we heard about startups. So we heard one person said, young man said, he said, I came without any idea, any abilities, talent, and I'm a humanitarian person. And I came to NeuroNet, asked for business plan idea, asked to make presentation for investors, came to another NeuroNet and It made for me presentations, pictures, all necessary things, and then I took it and go to present it. So, and it appeared in November last year. So, and this year we already wait for the startup. So, I mean, this is new channels, new products to unite people. So, when artificial intelligence can become an enemy, all those neural nets, in order to provide any result, they will trained on certain materials. In order to create a result, it went through internet, collected all necessary pictures, images, saturated it, digested it, and then gave it result. All comments, all necessary texts, and then it writes the ready-made one. Wikipedia, articles, books, everything is inside of NeuroNet. And there is a question here. So, among photographers, creative people, programmers. So, I was a programmer. I programmed very hard, spent a lot of time, spent a lot of effort, and now there is new NeuroNet comes and made everything instead of me. So, does it violate my rights? So that was so, and what we can do in this situation. So I mean programmers and people who were experienced programmers, and so what is about for them. So and all these photo banks generated by neural nets. And how it can be neural nets learned on my images and then generates its own images and put watermark. So it means violation of my rights. And the same for programmers of Microsoft, OpenAI, the developers of GTP and GitHub. So how come you took our code and didn't mention us as authors? The same for musicians. So musicians will face this problem always. So how we can unite and fight with this violation, rights violations? Today we heard there is term Web3. Who heard this? Who knows about? Who heard about Web 3.0? Everyone heard or nobody heard. So let me give determination because there is no an Wikipedia. No one knows what is Web 3.0, but definitely there is a trend. Trend unites everything which is related to the most advanced technologies, cryptocurrency, meta university, DeFi, internet of the third generation, everything, all these oculuses, all this means Web 3.0. This is ability to communicate in other format. Today we communicate through internet. How we communicate today? Visually, like through screen. But communication in environment Web 3.0, it's in format 3 model. And why? What is needed for this? The computing capabilities and artificial intelligence was created in order to help human to build this virtual environment, these virtual worlds where we will communicate in the future. So this artificial intelligence, together with cryptization, these are elements of the interpersonal communication at the global level. Denis, there is a question for you. Valera mentioned about the violation of intellectual rights, so violation by artificial intelligence. So the question for you, what do you think about the court cases about this and to protect and practice in Eurasian court system? Could you please provide presentation? Eurasian Patent Organization. This organization provides patent for inventions. So the former countries, the countries of former Soviet Union, so everything which is related for the innovations, protections, and there is very active discussions. There are many approaches in Europe, in the world, and in our country. This topic is being discussed, and there is a problem. So everything what was created by the artificial intelligence, it was taken from somebody's intellectual properties. Who has to be the owner of this new product? And there is no clear answer for this question yet. So the discussion is going on at the moment, and there is no solution yet. And I would like to tell about patent, blockchain mining subjects, but this is the second technologies. Everything which we want to use, GPT and etc., but this is secondary. But the economic breakthrough has to be done with innovation. But to use what is already exist, it's like buy cars from China, so import substitution, but it will not give us a real economic breakthrough. So, and using this opportunity, I would like to tell you and to call you to find new innovations and to patent them. So, for example, at our organization, or as patent, or the idea is in order to create something new, to make patent and then earn from this patent, something new which didn't exist before and which helps to develop our country, all humans, other countries as well. So, but innovation has to be in order to make a breakthrough. Without innovation, there will not be any breakthrough, real breakthrough. So again, I would like to underline, we don't need to use the secondary technologies. We need to create new. So like in the 70s, it was advanced space technologies, but we, at the moment, we try to speed up, but we don't have resources. So we don't need to pay a lot of focus what we have. We need to create what we don't have. So let's say this technologies Web 3.0, but it's clear. But what about Web 4.0? That will be interesting to discuss something absolutely new, absolutely, which is not clear yet. Please don't interrupt. There is a world system. Oh, Denis, come back to your presentation, please. So world system works now. World patent system works. So 100 it works, including Russian patent organization is part of World Intellectual Organization with the headquarters in Geneva, and we communicate, there is system PCT, everything works, no one exclude from this, there is cooperation, and there is world organization which continues working together, and we are included in this organization, and representatives of our countries are working there. Everything is clear. And any organization which is conducting patents, providing it through World Organization. So, and there are two more words to add. From the practice, we provide digital services, and to make person to get patent doesn't matter where he is, and our level of digitalization at our organization. So everything is digitalized, no papers, everything in digital environment, and we launch program and achieved new level, and we adjust our technologies at the new level because we're trying to achieve new level in order to provide maximum digital services. And it's not promotion, we're not commercial structure, we are international state organization. And what I'm trying to say, we all have to be open, communicate with each other, and to move to the common target. And the world system continues to exist, and we are with them. In despite of the moment that we have some miscommunications, misunderstandings, but just if we look 40 years ahead in the future, no one even will remember what was now. It's just a moment. So let's even pay attention to this. So we are globalized, we exist in this global world, and we will exist in this global world. Super. So I've just heard what I felt. I heard that there are bridges of communication. Thank you very much that you underlined this, because we need to communicate with professionals, with experts. And it was important to understand what was the most often communication among Eurasian space. Where are these bridges in Eurasian environment? It's very important that people understand, because there is impression, even representatives of the panel has this feeling. So innovations means communications will continue, and there is communication. So there is a TV and there is a life. TV, yes, it's one of invention, and people give patent from this and earned from this. As far as for the Asian regions, there are no problems, and innovation doesn't have borders. Even if to try to exclude our regions, let's say Russia, from the world patent system, so, and what will be the result? The result will be that we will just take the technologies for free. For example, we cannot buy in Russia the license for Microsoft, and what is the result? We all know that the sources where we can get it for free. So, if exclude us from the world patent system, we just get those things for free. So it's fair for our country and our communications with our countries. Azerbaijan, Kyrgyz, Armenia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, we mostly give and take. 8 countries, it's huge territory, maybe the biggest in the world territory, and we continuously move ahead and our plans to join Mongolia, Uzbekistan. A small remark, please. So, to be optimistic or pessimistic. So, and my remark, you mentioned we need to continue developing, to continue invent, to continue to think. I would like to tell my opinion. It's very important that every experience is being developed differently, very different in different circumstances. We all remember Soviet Union. It was different stimulus that time. Now it's important to move, to develop and to invent, but without flagman, it's not possible. It's not a secret. There is a flagman. Mortgage, construction, needs, and there is a flagman. And there is military complex, huge one, and there is mining, and it's real story. What mining can do? For example, a miner comes and tells, so like we don't know the full capacity of our organisms. So we haven't learned it totally, and there are more capacities than we think. For example, if we add sport and your lungs will work better, oxygen comes, and you will have more energy. So, and if you stop consume oxygen, then you'll get chronic diseases. And to compare this with miners, they do the same role in the electricity, in energy sector. It's important to understand physics. There are huge capacities in plant. For example, 1 gigawatt. And because of the reduction of the production, it can be used only point 0.1 of gigawatt. And then miner comes. Please give me your gigawatt and I will pay for you money for this. And you improve your economic situation. I will make railways, electricity lines, and I give money to people in the plant. And when these people work, then the flagman in this energy sector will be discoveries. So, in other words, in order to achieve advanced breakthrough, we need stimulus, and the only stimulus is money. And it's very clear what you say. We all want to survive and develop something, and in order to make breakthrough, so based on this, and to make breakthrough, I really support your idea. We need innovation, and stimulus for this is money. Thank you very much, colleagues. Very interesting discussions. Let's continue.
So, uh, Still, despite all the negative developments, we continue our international interaction. And sometimes it's not comfortable, it's not convenient to use official fiat currencies, and it's better to use cryptocurrencies, uh, paying for the international transactions. And Stanislav has mentioned about such a possibility. And I've got a question to Ivan. Could you tell us, please, if we need to make a supply, for example, of 1 ton of grain abroad, or to bring in here some spare parts for civil aircraft, and will pay in cryptocurrency, how will the customs look at it? What would be their attitude towards it? Do you have any experience in this area? Ivan Grekov is a teacher of customs control department in Ranhix in the Russian Academy of the Economy. Thank you very much for your question. I've been listening very actively, attentively to what we're talking about, and the topic is very interesting. Mining, blockchains, various technologies of artificial intelligence. And this issue goes round one and the same point, the commodity or goods. You just said to switch on the equipment and mine money, but still you need to have such special devices in order to be able to do it, and they should be imported into the country. And so my topic concerns the customs control and how the goods that facilitate the development of mining and artificial intelligence servers capacities, how are they controlled by the customs or regulated by the customs, and how does the custom can protect us against counterfeit goods and other violations related to economic crime. Under digitalization, the volume of information which is channeled to the customs department is enormous, and physical persons, just real people, are not able to cope with this volume. And that's why we are using the system on risk management that presupposes just a random selection, just to choose the objects that can represent the most risks, for example, related to mining. And they can be counterfeited goods, they can be just dangerous in usage. And the customs department use this system of risk control. But our topic is related to the international communication. And my research was focused on drawing analogies and parallels between Russia, Belarus, Russia and Belarus are really good friends because they created a union state in 1994 when they signed an accord between the governments. And I made an analysis of risk management in Belarus and in Russia. And the most important thing is as follows. Last year, the Union State had established a new body that is involved in risk management, in harmonizing the digital potential of two countries at the level of the risk management. So our both countries are fighting against these risks.
нас,
Both customs of Russia and Belarus are protecting us from the counterfeited goods. And we know about the sanctional pressure today in order to uh, protect the consumption so that our shelves would boast of all the goods we need. The custom department has to continue the digitalization reform and to select the objects for the control. But coming back to the question, so there is an international transaction. How can it be paid in cryptocurrencies? If it's paid in cryptocurrencies, what is the attitude towards the customs department? Actually, the customs department does not accept payments in Bitcoin. So if you pay for cryptocurrency for 1 ton of grain, there would be problems with the customs. What will happen? The payment for the participants of international transactions is done through the declaration or statement on goods, which states the customs value, the transaction value. All the prices are stated in dollars or in the contractual amount. So I can tell you that we do not, they do not use any cryptocurrencies, bitcoins, in the payment for international transactions? Yes, it's a very interesting question and issue. Today we are discussing the possibility of paying for international transactions in cryptocurrency. In principle, it's allowed, but there is a bottleneck, the custom departments. According to the law, cryptocurrency is recognized as property. And so the currency control states that the settlements for the imported goods with the cryptocurrency can be done in barter. For example, if you buy grain or spare parts, we abroad we sign a barter deal, barter transaction, and instead of bank details, the cryptocurrency details are mentioned. So, but how the goods can be transported through the Russian border, and everybody is very worried and concerned about the position of the customs department. Okay, I understand that you cannot give us a clear-cut answer, but still, how can we improve the situation in practical terms? By the way, I'm a representative of the customs, and I can answer your question. Stanislav, I just move back to the very beginning. So what we are discussing, because of the sanctions, that happens because of the sanctions, because we have not had such problems before, before the sanctions have been introduced. So they are the settlements at the level of the state. The settlements in cryptocurrency are not regarded because they were treated as a folly of people who were involved in it. But after the sanctions were introduced, now the dollar is not allowed to be used in the settlements, so it's not allowed to use it. It's sanctioned. There's a term virus sanctions. At a third degree, he will be punished if he works, if he uses or it uses dollars. So in order to protect the national economy, to provide the demand, to protect the logistics chain, and to continue settlements. What we need? We need to use digital financial assets, but in such a way that contra-agents were not shown that they violate sanctions, were not revealed, that their violations should not be revealed, and national currency cannot be used here. We need a certain hub that would disrupt the settlements, payments chains. So it's needed, this hub. So the question is how the customs department works. It's just outdated because it's an old paradigm, and we have not yet a new paradigm. So what are the innovations introduced this year? I think they are just innovations of genius. They have allowed, when in case of imports, to confirm the imports revenues, to make settlements through factoring. For example, you import something into Russia and you can make settlements, payments through a factoring company. And it's just one single instrument tool which is included into the system of fiat money. And now the customs department is thinking in terms of trans-border settlements and payments, is thinking about the confirmation of the due payment through acts of completed works. So it can be used as the confirmation of payment. You've signed a contract, the equipment is imported, is supplied, and the importer just sends an act that there are no claims, no complaints. It's just the confirmation of the goods and services received. So just summing up, we are experiencing, going through a transition period. So the whole system based on dollar settlements has collapsed. We cannot use it anymore. And so the cryptocurrency is not included into the fiat money. So it enables us to protect, to preserve the remaining logistics chains and settlements and payments chains. And I'm absolutely sure that the customs department will be adapted to the new situation and will adjust their regulation to it in a new environment. After the session, I'm ready to go into details. I'd like to just add, in terms of innovations in the customs departments. For example, the use of bitcoins to pay for the transactions and to present it as a guarantor of the customs declaration. We may have it in future. 20 years ago, we even could not have imagined the level of development of artificial intelligence, electronic trade, blockchains, etc. But primarily, I'd like to stress that the control from the customs department is also based on the customs value. It's a special index which is calculated depending on the weight of the goods, and it was tied up to the dollar. And you are absolutely right that this old system is no more in place, though the customs department still sticks to the old paradigms. And we know the strategy 2030, the development of artificial intelligence. And so I'm absolutely sure that the customs department will build up its potential and will use the usage and will use more the currency baskets, including bitcoins. Okay, I have a suggestion. We are we have just 10 minutes for our discussion. We have to be wrapping it up. I'd like to have some minutes, 7 minutes for dialogue, for discussion, for questions. Just, just the questions related to the discussed issues today. So, just very burning issues are allowed. So I have a very short, brief question to Alexander Evgenievich. What we have been talking about international settlements, and how do you treat to the usage of cryptocurrency in domestic settlements? They would not be used in the domestic market and domestic transactions because we do not want to have disputes and quarrels with the central bank. Any questions? We've been discussing with our students. So I'm the chair, head chair of philosophy. So we are studying the philosophy of money, the chair of philosophy. So we had a question related to cryptocurrencies. I'd like to have to ask this question to experts. Can we say that cryptocurrency is a result of convention, as it provides for it is guaranteed by goodwill and readiness to participate in mining, in the exchange, and in trust towards this currency? Thank you very much. It's really a very good question. I wrote a thesis on the topic on inflation, and I touched upon these issues. In terms of philosophy, let's start with the economy. Money has several functions, and most functions are connected with trust and confidence. The exchange, the preservation of value, nomination of value, global world money, all this is related to trust and confidence. So what can we see today on the market? Dollar, though it has reached its ceiling in terms, as even the United States believes, $30 trillion. Still, it is supported unconditionally in the whole world. So what is the situation in the world? The Fed is fighting against inflation, as any fight, any war can be explained by, in terms of philosophy, in the terms of victory or defeat. If now it wins, then we'll have war in future, because it has to be defeated. It's not possible to issue money without any limits. So, but if today this war is lost, then the question will be the question of trust. What should be trusted? Gold, in terms of financial settlements, it's a sort of a rudiment. It's just a historical tool, and we need a different, a new tool which would be trusted by everybody. And what can have this trust? Something that doesn't depend on an individual decision, something that is distributed.
So, and no access to Bitcoin. So no one even knows who created this. So all other cryptocurrency, they have its beneficiaries. Buterin, Bifir, Binance Smart Chain, Jumping Jown, etc. Only Bitcoin doesn't have beneficiary. So that's why Bitcoin I trusted mostly. So when I learned about Bitcoin, I was in America, I studied in America, and I thought that's nonsense. But 10 years passed, it's trusted. So, and it can be as a measure of storage in the future. And if it keeps volatility, then of course, in terms of money and for calculations, it will not be used, but it's first for the technology which is based on. So it will conduct money function. So cryptocurrency and trust, that is important values. So, and as far as for volatility, it always be. So dollar can be dropped 30% for 2 days. Volatility it always exists. But with the capitalization growth, volatility will not be significant. When it's 500 billions, so when you took out from the pocket, it jumped, put in, dropped. But when it's $5 million, it's try to manipulate the market. So volatility will always exist. And unfortunately, we're victims mostly, and we have to make revision in our heads. So your opinion is a stereotype, that sample is a dogma, or it's your research and your conclusions of your research. So I think it's stereotype that's Bitcoin a scam. It's stereotype of people who don't want to make financial digital assets to exist. It's their target because they see it in dollar and the fiat currency. It's not convenient for them. So, and many talks that Bitcoin isn't supported. Okay, how dollar is supported? And for example, the other opinion at Bitcoin is very supported. It is supported by huge amount of money spent by miners to mine this Bitcoin, and approximate assessment. The sum what was spent by minings to support this Bitcoin is about $8 trillion around the world. So people spend their own money, so which is about $8 trillion. $8 trillion. People supported Bitcoin. So this is the base of basement. Yesterday, for example, at yesterday's sections, I gave my microphone to studio and make students talk. So be brave. 3 minutes. So if you don't ask question now, you will not sleep well. I don't need microphone. Professor, assistant of foreign languages. Could you please tell us about factoring? We're not economists, we study languages, but we would like to learn about more factoring. So let me tell you about factoring. Just in 2 words. Factoring.
Это единственный сейчас инструмент мировой финансовой
So this is the
банковской
world financial tool,
системы. Базельская система– это
Basel
та
system.
система,
This is the system of
очень
finance,
строгая,
which is
когда вот именно,
regulatory
то есть
system.
вот там, что если ты работаешь внутри там, то это можно. Вот.
So if you
А
walk inside of
факторинг–
it,
это по
it's
сути договор перевода
allowed.
долга. То есть
But factoring, it's cession, it's transmission of your
я
debt.
должен вам
So for
денег
example, I own your money
за поставленное мне оборудование.
for
Я
equipment
сейчас
provided.
вам не могу
And
выплатить
now
долг.
I can't
Все
pay you
расходы
in
уходят в
dollars.
Соединенные Штаты как бенефициары доллара. Поэтому есть,
So
Стас,
you say the
факторинговый договор.
beneficiaries of dollars, they're
Факторинговый
angry.
договор
That's why
подписал
factoring company
находится в
exists
базельской системе
and they have the same
банк,
status in Basel system,
компания.
like
Это
bank,
все
insurance
часть финансовой
company.
системы.
This is a part of financial
Факторинговая компания.
system,
То есть
factoring company.
я перевожу деньги, долг. Говорю, Стас, я вот
So
долг, прекрасное
I
дело,
transmit
перевожу
my
тебе.
debt
А ты
to you.
заплатишь ей.
My debt to this girl I
И
transfer to you and you will pay her. And factoring.
не нужно указывать, вот когда Стас платит уже вам,
So when Stas
не
will pay
нужно
for you
указывать
my debt,
номер
so
нашего первоначального
in
договора.
factoring you
Он
don't
платит по
need to
договору
insert
факторинга.
the agreement of
И
our
когда
initial
идет контроль
contract.
мирового комплайнса, там
So
написано,
and he
договор
pays you for the
факторинга номер
new
3.
contract. For example, when it's world
Расстройство договора
compliance,
факторинга номер 3.
then for
За
example
поставку
it's
оружия,
contract for
майнинга,
contract number 3 and for what
цемента.
this contract
Неважно, там
is,
просто договор
for
факторинга.
medicine,
И
for
это
mining,
его миссия
for military equipment. It doesn't matter. It's his mission
предприятия, которые занимаются данной
as an
деятельностью.
enterprise which provides this activity.
Конечно, то есть деньги просто пойдут вот так. Мы готовы. Вопрос даже не в том, из-за сегодняшней ситуации однозначно
And
идет удорожание
today, of
всего.
course, everything is
Логистических
getting
цепочек,
more
финансовых
expensive.
операций.
Logistics
Да, это
change,
новая услуга, да, это дорого
financial
стоит. Я
chains.
бы не хотел бы
Yes,
пользоваться,
it's
но
new
если оно стоит
service and
такие
it costs
условия.
money. Of course,
Чуть подороже
factoring
будет, но хотя
company
бы
gets
материал будет
the
или товар или
percentage.
услуга, а там будут деньги. Не за что.
Okay, it's clear. Thank you.
Ну что, третий вопрос и все, и
And the
расходимся. Или
third
нет?
question, and that's
Как с
all.
Каспием? Тогда расходимся.
No
Спасибо.
questions? Then thank you, everyone. And we finish our session.